This video demonstrates Quick License running on a macOS and one computer, also referred to as Apple Silicon or the ARM 64-bit processor. Quick License is a desktop licensing application that can be used to protect and license virtually any kind of software running on any Mac, Windows, or Linux machine. Using Quick License, you can apply various kinds of licenses to the application, including time-limited trial licenses, perpetual product licenses that once activated run forever on that machine, a combination try-buy license where a user can try for a period of time and then permanently buy and activate the software to run forever, or some type of monthly, quarterly, or annual subscription. You can also implement various types of activation processes. For example, a trial license could just auto-activate on first launch and expire after X number of days. You could have a manual activation process that presents a dialog to the user where the user has to enter a code that you provide to uniquely activate the software to their machine, or implement a fully automated activation process where you sell a serial number and on first launch the user is able to enter the serial number and activate without your assistance at any time of the day. When you install Quick License on your computer, you'll see a folder of files, and let's just briefly review what's in this folder. This is the Quick License application itself. That's the application that's used to define the type of license you want and generate a ticket file. You'll then apply that ticket file to your application in one of two ways. You can use the Add License Wrapping tool to select that ticket file in the application that you want to apply it to, and set a few options and click Build, and it will output a protected version of that application with the licensing applied to it. Alternatively, you can insert a little bit of code into your application to call the Quick License runtime directly. We have a folder that includes the runtime files that would be included with your application. So for example, you can pick a 64-bit Intel, 64-bit ARM, or universal binary runtime file to be included with your application along with the ticket file. You can also, before actually implementing the API directly within your application, you can use the Send Message tool to emulate your application, where you essentially send a command string to the runtime to bind it to the license. Quick License handles all the licensing aspects of it and returns a response string back to your application. Quick License comes with a couple of step-by-step tutorials. Tutorial 1 shows how to set up a simple product license, output a ticket file, apply it to your application, and then activate it with an activation code on the customer computer. Tutorial 2 shows how to apply online serial number activation to your license. All the details of all the different license types are described in the comprehensive user guide. In this video, we're just going to give you a little taste of what you can do with Quick License. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and launch the Quick License application. You can see in the main screen we have several different rows of information, each row representing one type of license that could be applied to an application, and that application then could be distributed to hundreds or thousands of people and used to activate a certain type of license on their machine. So we're going to look at this particular row of information here for an offline product license, where we have the name of the license, version number, security code, some other information. If we click in the first column of that row, it brings up a license dialog. And in this license dialog, it shows we've set up the Never Timeout, allow same computer reactivation checkbox on the main ticket panel. On the activation screen, we have activation required, machine calculated, and on the safe activation panel, we have a standard activation type, because this is going to be an offline manual activation process. So once we have everything set up, that defines our license, we're going to click a button and generate a ticket file that we can then go and apply to our application. So we're going to click the button and it's generated the ticket file here. We're going to go ahead and take a look at what we've just generated. We have a folder. We've actually created a couple of folders. In our documents folder, we've created a development folder, and inside that we have a source and an output folder. And in the source folder, we have our ticket file that we just generated that defines a license. We also have this simple hello application. So for example, if we just click the hello application, it just pops up a little window. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show how we can apply this license to this hello application and output the protected version of the application in the output folder. Now we're going to use the Add License Wrapping tool. We're going to select an unused record and find all the information required to wrap a specific application with a specific license. Let's just call this Hello Offline, and we're going to select the application that we want to wrap from our source folder. So let's select the Hello application, select the ticket that we want to apply. And then we're going to have to type in the version number and security code that came from the Quick License application into these fields. We can also apply an icon if we wish and select an output folder to put our protected application. Let's go ahead and put that into the output folder. And we have some other options as well. For example, once a user has launched and activated the application, if later we decide to rewrap a newer version of our application and send it to the user, and we can set this retain activation checkbox so the user won't be required to activate again if they've already activated once. We can also decide if we want to output an Intel 64-bit version binary, an ARM 64-bit, or a universal binary application. That's what we're going to select here. If we go ahead and click the Build button, we're now generating a protected licensed version of this Hello application into our output folder. In our output folder, we see the protected application that we just generated. We can name this whatever we want, and this is what we would distribute to a customer. When a customer launches the application on their machine, they'll be presented with an activation dialog. They're going to have to give you the request number from that dialog, and then you will give them back the activation code they need. So back on your development machine, you're going to launch Quick License, bring up the license dialog, and on the activation panel, you're going to type in the request number from the customer computer, click the activation button, and we're done with Quick License now. So back on the customer machine, the customer is going to have to enter the activation code that you provided, and when they click Activate Now, the application has been activated to their computer, and now they can launch and run the application. From then on, it will launch forever on that machine. So how you can apply an online serial number activation process to our product license. And you would follow the instructions in tutorial 2 that step through how you would set up your online safe activation account and then define the license within Quick License. And we'll just kind of give a quick overview of that process here. So if we open up Quick License, we've created a new record of information for this online license. And what we want to do is we want to go to the license dialog. Let's unlock the ticket for a moment here. So we've set it up in a similar way. We have a never timeout checked, allows same computer reactivation. On the activation screen, activation required, machine calculated. And on the safe activation panel, we've set up some information that links it to our safe activation account. Within our safe activation account, we've already configured this license on a few screens of information, including a screen where we've generated a batch of serial numbers. Once we have everything set up, we're going to generate a ticket file that defines that license, and then we can go and close out a quick license. In our source folder, we see this new ticket file that defines all the information about this new license that we've created. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up our add license wrapping tool and go to a new unused record. We're just going to clone the other record that we had before, because a lot of the information will be the same. We're just going to call this one Hello Online. So we're going to wrap the same application and put it in the same output folder, but we are going to apply a different ticket that defines this online serial number activation. So if we click there and go to our source folder, we can select the online product, and we're going to put that base name right here. So let's just call that online product. That's the base name of our ticket file, the same version security code. Everything else is pretty much the same. So we're going to go ahead and click build, and we're now generating a new build of our application with this different type of license applied. If we go ahead and launch the application, a dialog is presented, and this time it's collecting a serial number and some other information. We're going to paste in the serial number, the company name, and the email address it's asking for. And when the user clicks activate now, that information is sent to an online activation server and immediately grants activation to that computer, and now the application can be launched. Now we're going to look at how you can apply quick license to your application with an API call. The examples PDF shows little snippets of programming code for various languages like Objective-C, Swift, C++, Java, and others. And we're going to, rather than you actually writing code, we're going to use the send message test application to kind of emulate our application. So we've created a folder where we have send message, which is going to emulate our application. We have the quick license runtime file, and we have our ticket file that defines the license. So we'll show how the send message tool can send a command string to the runtime and get back a response. And that same implementation could be done within your application, and then based on the response, continue to run normally or quit your application. So if we launch the send message application, it's going to present our main screen here where we can type in our request number, our request command that we want to send to the runtime, and we'll see the response that comes back from the runtime. So we don't have to go over the details here. That is defined within the user guide of exactly what these parameters are. But basically, when you send a command to the runtime, it's just a semicolon separated set of information, and you'll notice the name of our ticket that defines the license, the version number, security code, and we're going to now click a button which is going to send this to the quick license runtime, and you can see that it's going to present an activation screen, and the user is going to have to activate with a code that you provide, just like before. So we're going to open up our quick license application again and go to the activation panel. We're going to enter the request number from the customer's computer here. We're going to click the activation button to get the activation code needed. We can go ahead and close out of quick license now. And now on the customer's machine, the customer is going to type in that activation code, click activate now, and then the response from that interaction comes back to the application. And again, it's a semicolon separated string of parameters, and your application can look at these parameters and determine whether to continue to run normally or quit the application. So to summarize, the send message application is essentially doing the same thing that your application will do with a little snippet of code that sends the command string to the runtime and later gets back a response string looks at the string and either quits the application or runs normally. And everything related to the licensing is handled by the quick license runtime code and this ticket file. And those two files will be distributed with your protected application.